and death. You cannot avoid. Anywhere you go, these qualities you will find for sure. One of Radhanath Maharaj's friends, he was running a business of, coffins. And actually setting up very beautiful, stone designs on top of their grave. He was into designing graves. So all kinds of Italian marble with designs and all those things. And there is a concept that you can go in advance before death and choose your own design. So he was asked, why you are running such a business? So he said, in this the market will never go down. Because death is something which is guaranteed. Shrutam cha drishtavat dushtam. I go through one difficulty, one place. I come to one more place and I expect that, okay, here the miseries won't be there. It will be different variety. That is all. Only variety will change. I told you a story. One of my friends, he was fed up in Mumbai because of the crowds in the buses. As you know, it is said that in the buses and trains in Mumbai, while getting into the train, if you look from a distance, it looks like there is a diamond lying inside the train, to catch which people are jumping in. And while getting out, it appears that a snake has come inside, because of which everyone is coming out. So he was fed up, so he went to London. And then it was 8 o'clock at night, he was sitting in the bus, and the whole bus was empty. He was the only guy with the driver. He thought this is Vaikuntha. Because you cannot imagine 8 o'clock at night in Mumbai that you are alone in a bus. So then he saw that there was one camera. So he asked the driver, what is this camera doing? So driver said, most of the buses go empty. So sometimes people jump onto the bus and beat them up and take away their wallet, and sometimes kill them also. Because crowd is not there. So in order to see who has beaten, the police will use this footage. So don't worry, it will be taken care. Even if something happens to you, your family will get justice. He said, Arey Baba, what is this going on? I thought this is empty, so this is good, but here is another type of problem. And in India, if you put camera, first public will take away camera only. So either way you go, there is always going to be some difficulty. So it is an irony described in Ramayana. What do you mean Ayodhya? 60,000 years this person remained undefeated. But finally when he was dying, not a single one of his sons was there with him. And he died such a miserable death. So who can remain undefeated in this world? There is nothing called Ayodhya. As soon as you have come into the material world, you have registered. You have registered into the cycle of birth, death and defeat. Parabhavastavat abodhajata yavat na jigyasata atmatattvam. So therefore, in the first canto, if you see, Vidura, he tells Dhritarashtra, Rajan nirgamyatam shigram pashyedam bhayamagatam. O king, Rajan, get out. Get out. And he calls him king. Why? Because Dashrath has lost everything. Dhritarashtra has lost everything. So he's telling him, who's real king? Only time factor is real king. Rajan nirgamyatam shigram. Get out of this place immediately. So therefore, when Srila Prabhupada, he was traveling all over the world, when he came to London, and Prabhupada was asked, there are so many freedom fighters who, Prabhupada said, there are many people who contributed to the freedom movement, including Gandhiji and others. And if you compare with my contribution, which is better? what they have done or what I have done? So nobody could answer. It was a very loaded question. So Prabhupada said, my contribution is better. And why? He said, Gandhiji and others drove the Britishers out of India. I engaged them in my service. And right behind Prabhupada there was one British devotee doing chamar. And Prabhupada said, I am not even paying him. And still he is doing that. And people are making propaganda. India is a poor country. So if it is a poor country, why people are leaving everything and following a poor old man? So when Prabhupada came to London, he was asked, why have you come to London? And Prabhupada said, you know, all of you took away so many jewels from India. Stole Kohinoor, stole this, stole that, so many things. You know, and if you go to London, there are so many fantastic museums. And all the things have been kept very perfectly. From which part, which place, which date, what was stolen. It has been perfectly documented. And myself and Govind Prabhu had gone, because Govind Prabhu wanted to see sword of Shivaji, where it is kept. So he took me along. So when we were touring, the people there got more attracted to see Govind Prabhu's wooden shoes. And they thought this is some kind of museum piece. And they were taking photos of that. So actually, if you see, Prabhupada said, so many jewels and so many important things you stole, but you forgot to steal one thing, Bhagavatam. I have come to give that. So that is what is the real wisdom of India, of Vedic culture. So therefore, Ayodhya basically means a city which cannot be defeated, but it is a very ironical name because everyone is subject to defeat. No one can avoid it. So the entire story of Ramayana is supposed to make us humble. And Dasharath was not an ordinary king who had a career of 20-30 years. 60,000 years undefeated. But how the time factor will change even after 60,000 years is not within control. So therefore now it is described that the 4 sons are born. Ram, Bharat, Lakshman, Shatrughna. So initially Ram and Bharat are kept next to each other. And Lakshman and Shatrughna are kept next to each other. So Lakshman keeps crying. Shatrughna also keeps crying. So then Vasishtha Muni says that you now bring them in different pair. So Lakshman was brought and kept next to Ram. And Shatrughna was kept next to Bharata. So then they got both pacified. So what is the meaning of Rama? So it is described here. That Rama basically means one who is reservoir of pleasure. Ramante yogino anante satyananda chidatmani iti Rama padenasau param brahma vidiyate. So Ram basically means one who is an ocean of pleasure. That is the meaning of Rama. And one who provides pleasure simply by his darshan, because Ram was personification of beauty. And the soul has been searching for the perfect object to view and see, to fulfill the thirst of the eyes. And all of us are attracted to beautiful objects. But the beautiful objects of this world are all temporary. So Ram refers to ocean of pleasure. In the letter of Rukmini to Krishna, Rukmini says, Shrutva gunan bhuvana sundara shrinvatam te nirvishya karna vivarai haratonga tapam rupam drisham drishimatam akhilartha labham Tvai achyuta vishati chitram apatrapam me. So Rukmini is saying, my dear Lord Krishna, Shrutva, I have not yet seen you. I have not had your darshan. But I have heard of your beauty. Shrutva. Gunan bhuvana sundara shrinvatam te. And you are personification of beauty of the entire creation. Nirvishya karna vivarai haratonga tapam, and simply if through the ears the description of your beauty enters and touches the heart, the anga tapa, the heat of the body and the senses go away. When we come in contact with the beauty of this world, the heat of the body and senses increases. When we come in contact with Krishna's beauty, then we become completely pacified, peaceful and happy. And therefore, Srila Prabhupada established temples. And in those temples, Srila Prabhupada established the deities, so that you can actually worship Krishna in beautiful forms. And therefore we have these deities. By seeing the deities, all of our heart's desires can be fulfilled, and we can chant the holy names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So therefore, all of us are willing to sacrifice anything for our pleasure. But Krishna consciousness is how we are able to sacrifice things for Krishna's pleasure. And this is the beauty of bhakti, that we think happiness is a product, and we go to the mall searching for happiness. So many categories we see, but you will never get happiness as one of the products in the mall. And that's why people are frustrated. I am trying to be happy, I am trying to purchase happiness in the market, it is not available. Outside the mall it is said, purchase happiness, take home happiness. So you enter the mall, one section, another section, third section, fourth section, up and down, complete mall you have searched, but nowhere you find happiness. Only varieties of misery are there. But then, you may not find happiness as a product, but you will see in the product categories, sense gratification, various categories are sold in the mall. There is also several categories of service. Service to country, service to society, service to this, and there is service to Krishna. So in that mall, if you purchase service as a product, then when you are paying the bill, you get free gift. And that free gift is happiness as a byproduct. Therefore, happiness is not a product, it is a byproduct. So if you go in this world searching for happiness, you will not find it. So you should go searching for service, searching for an experience of sacrifice, and then automatically happiness comes. That is the secret which eludes most people. So never look in this world for happiness, always look for service. Happiness is given as a free gift offer, along with whatever you take. And if you go and pick up sense gratification as the product, misery is given as a byproduct. Pure unalloyed misery. Take it. Enjoy it. So that is what is described here. So therefore, most people are very much eager to understand who is God and what is God. Right? And previously people used to come to India to experience God. India is supposed to be the country of temples. Hundreds and thousands of temples. Right? But if that knowledge is not there, then even if the temple is there, then one will not experience any transformation. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada established temples where not only deities are there, but the knowledge is also transmitted. Prabhupada was in New York. He was giving a talk on Bhagavad Gita. And Prabhupada asked a question. Okay, all of you are studying Gita. The purpose of Gita is to understand Krishna. And the Gita is showing the way by which you can see God. So one, hippie was sitting right in front. And this person was getting really agitated. That how can this old man speak about God? God is not someone who can be visible so easily. So even when Prabhupada was speaking, this hippie was raising his hand again and again. And Prabhupada didn't respond. And then when Prabhupada ended, finally, he said, I want to ask a question. Prabhupada said, yes, what? And he said, can you see God? Prabhupada said, no, you are coming in the way. So we cannot see God in a challenging mode. We can only see God in a submissive mode. So when we study scriptures, we will develop erudition. But empowerment only comes when there is submissive surrender. Study of scripture, scriptural study will only give erudition. Only submissive surrender gives empowerment. So through this Ramayana, Lord Ram is trying to demonstrate that I am the Supreme Personality of Godhead, reservoir of pleasure, Rama. I am willing to give pleasure to all. But who is able to access this pleasure? That is Lakshmana. And therefore Lakshman name is described Sarvapriyakarastasya Ramasya Pisharirata Lakshmano Lakshmi Sampanno Bahir Prana Ivapara. Word Lakshman is defined as he found everything about Ram very attractive. In fact, when Ram was walking, Lakshman would think, Bahir Prana, this is actually my external prana who is walking. Lakshmano Lakshmi Sampanno Bahir Prana Ivapara. So Lakshmi Sampanno is Lakshman. What is the meaning of Lakshmi Sampanna? Lakshmi Sampanna means one who is endowed with Lakshmi. One who is endowed with opulence. Now Lakshman goes to the forest. He doesn't have any money. So what is the Lakshmi we are talking about? It is the opulence of devotional service. So Lakshman was simply devotional service personified. That is the real wealth which all of us should be aspiring for in human form of life. And this is what the meaning of the word Lakshman signifies. Any other wealth you try to acquire in this world, you will not be satisfied. There will always be some pinpricks. All the other wealth we need to maintain our body. But the wealth which will really satisfy and pacify the heart and inundate our hearts with joy, that is bhakti. And the beautiful thing demonstrated here is right from Lord Ramachandra's birth till the last, there was one person who was constantly with Ram, and that is Lakshman. Another beautiful point. Usually in this world we never find that the prince or a king serves another king. A Kshatriya never serves another Kshatriya. Kshatriya means he needs kingdom. So Ramayana is demonstrating See, Lakshman is a Kshatriya. Lakshmana is supposed to be a king. But he is serving his elder brother, another king, like a menial servant. By Varnashram, how can one Kshatriya serve another Kshatriya? So Ramayana is demonstrating the truth beyond Varnashram. The Sanatan Dharma of the soul is eternal service. Otherwise, every Kshatriya needs his space to rule and control. Whereas Lakshman, he is simply giving up everything to be a menial servant of Lord Ram. So that is called Lakshmano, Lakshmi Sampanno, Bahir Prana Ivappara. The real wealth is this. You know, I tell this story, one of the most wealthy Indians, you know, he came to our temple. He is connected to our ISKCON to some way. And he is worth thousands of crores. So he came up to me and he said, I have so much money, but all this money is like an ocean. But the problem with ocean is the ocean water cannot satisfy and quench the thirst. So although I am just increasing my wealth like anything, my thirst is not getting quenched. Whereas I see that you are chanting Hare Krishna, you are practicing bhakti. In your heart you have a water which is like well water, sweet but deep. All this ocean water in my heart is not of any use. Give me few drops of your well water. I said, sure, please take, and you give me few drops of ocean water. Let's have an exchange program. I don't know whether there was a connection, but 6 months after that I didn't see him in temple. So we may think, what is the real wealth? Ramayana is demonstrating. Real wealth is service. Go to the market to search for service. Don't go searching for happiness. There is no product category available anywhere called happiness in the mall. Only service or sense gratification. Pick up one and free gift is attached along with it. So therefore, that is what is described here. Okay, so when Prabhupada was in America, it is interesting that Srila Prabhupada spread Krishna consciousness worldwide without any help of born Hindus, so to say. Is it not? There are millions of Hindus at that time in India, but they were not responsible for spread of ISKCON. Who spread? Just Western people who were, young boys and girls in America who had no previous background of Krishna, never heard of his, Krishna consciousness, Gita. They were the ones. So this shows that it is not possible to spread the mission simply based on some religiosity. There has to be a genuine service attitude. And that is what Prabhupada did. Hansadutta Prabhu says he was a school dropout. But what Prabhupada did is very interesting. So it is described that Srila Prabhupada did 5 things. I don't know. Okay. Fine. Same thing. Standard. Okay. So, how Prabhupada inspired this youth to spread Krishna consciousness? There were 5 qualities which Prabhupada demonstrated. So the first quality Prabhupada demonstrated was enthusiasm. Tremendous amount of enthusiasm. His enthusiasm was contagious. Second quality Prabhupada demonstrated was humility. So although he was so enthusiastic, still he was extremely humble. He was very down to earth. He did not claim that he is greater than others, or he did not make the young people feel that there is a gap between him and them. You know? Like Shyam Sundar Prabhu, he was saying the story that he got convicted for some drug dealing he had done before joining ISKCON, before joining Prabhupada. So the police were going to arrest him and he was supposed to go to jail for some time. So he came to Prabhupada with great fear that Prabhupada may reject me. So he offered obeisances and said to Srila Prabhupada that, Srila Prabhupada, I have a very bad news. I have to go to jail. Prabhupada said, no problem. Krishna was born in jail. So he felt very encouraged. And Prabhupada said, why you are going to jail? So Srila Prabhupada, I was dealing with drugs. Prabhupada said, me too. I was dealing with drugs. I was running Prayag pharmacy. So, to be very learned is not difficult. But to be so learned and at the same time to be able to come down to the level of anyone who is just connecting with Krishna consciousness, that requires genuine humility. So Prabhupada had enthusiasm and Prabhupada had humility. Third thing which Prabhupada demonstrated was he appreciated all the devotees. He appreciated anyone who performed anything in connection with spread of the movement. He appreciated all. Whatever they were doing, Prabhupada appreciated them. That is very important. Kept them encouraged. Like one of the painters, in the first painting she made, she was told by Prabhupada to just sketch a copy of Radha Krishna as it is. So she made a painting of Radha Krishna. Krishna is playing on flute and Radharani is giving garland to Krishna. While she took the painting in her own sketchbook, instead of keeping Radharani's hand towards Krishna, she took Radharani's hand and kept it away from Krishna by mistake. It was supposed to be like this, she made it like this. So Prabhupada saw the painting and Prabhupada said, oh, Radharani's hand is not like this, it is away from Krishna. Radharani has another boyfriend? So then, she became very afraid that, I made a big blunder, what will happen? And Prabhupada said, no. Actually, Radharani liked your painting so much, she is calling you on the other side and giving you the garland. That is why it is like this. So what is the difference between an expert manager and a stressed out manager? Very important point. If you want to identify, am I an expert manager or a stressed out manager? What is the difference? An expert manager catches people doing right. A stressed out manager catches people doing wrong. So what Srila Prabhupada would do was, he was appreciating everyone. Fourthly, Prabhupada recognized excellence. So he appreciated everyone, but anyone who excelled, Prabhupada recognized and empowered them. So Hansadutta Prabhu tells the story that he was a college dropout, school dropout, he didn't have any qualification. But Prabhupada said one day, let us have a world traveling Sankirtan party. So he thought, okay, how do I organize this? I don't have any money. So he went to one of his hippie friends. And that hippie friend had an old bus which he was going to dump. So he went and begged him, you please give me that bus. And that hippie was also surprised. What you will do with this bus? You know, some vehicles are designed to take you back to Godhead. So, are you sure? He said, yeah. We have no money, we have no choice. We are forming a world Sankirtan party. So he brought the bus next day. The bus was so divine that it had no paint, no glass panes, including front windshield. Nothing was there. It had only one seat for the driver. So he went and called Prabhupada that, Prabhupada, we have got the bus for World Sankirtan Party. So Prabhupada came out intrigued that, we have no money, how we got this? And then Prabhupada saw the bus. And when Prabhupada entered the bus, he said, where will I sit? There is no seat for me. So devotees went inside temple, got a chair and kept the chair behind the driver's seat. But chair will move if the vehicle goes. So Brahmanand Prabhu sat with holding the chair. And then the driver sat and switched on the ignition. And as soon as he switched on ignition, smoke started coming out of the dashboard. And the whole bus became filled with smoke. And Prabhupada turned around and looked at the devotees and said, looks like an Indian bus. And the devotees thought, because they had never been to India, they thought it is a compliment. That Prabhupada loves the bus. He is remembering India. And he is appreciating our efforts. So after Prabhupada took a tour, then he said, we want a World Sankirtan party, but we can have a better bus than this. But Prabhupada noted what? The enthusiasm. He noted that here is a person who responds to the call. And therefore, enthusiasm and sincerity is more important than skills and intelligence in Krishna consciousness. When one responds to a certain call, that response is taken more seriously than all our karmic baggage which we may be carrying with us. So therefore, after some time, Srila Prabhupada made him the BBT trustee. And he said, Arey, I don't even have a college degree. I am school dropout. Prabhupada said, but you have enthusiasm. And you do things as I tell you. So submissiveness, sincerity rate higher than skills and any other strength based on karma which we may have. And that is a very critical factor here. And so Lakshman is demonstrating the principle of empowerment. That simply by serving Lord Ram, that was his, main opulence. Lakshmi, Lakshmano, Lakshmi Sampanno, Bahir Prana Iva Paraha. So the next is Bharata. What is the meaning of Bharata? So Bharata means, it is described, Raja Bharanti. Raja Bharanti Bibharti iti Bharata. Bharata refers to the carrier of heavy load. One who carries the heavy load. So what is the heavy load? Bharat had nothing to do in the intrigue against Lord Ram. Bharat went to Kekaya Pradesh. Kekaya Pradesh refers to the land where peacocks abound. The peacocks make the sound Keka, Keka, Keka. So Kekaya Pradesh is somewhere in modern day Caucasia or Europe and Russia area. Kaikai was from there. So it is described that there used to be many peacocks in this whole area. So that was known as Kekaya Pradesh. So when Bharat came back, he saw that Ram has already been sent to the forest by this intrigue, by this conspiracy. And Bharat had nothing to do in this entire conspiracy. Bharat had never discussed anything with Kaikeyi that this is what you must do. Kaikeyi assumed that this is great for my son. That is called misplaced compassion. Unauthorized compassion. Where you think something will be good without being blessed. So when Bharat came back, the citizens of Ayodhya condemned him. The citizens of Ayodhya were convinced that Bharat has a role to play in this. Vasishtha Rishi, he doubted Bharat. Kaushalya doubted Bharat. Guha doubted Bharat. Bharadwaj Rishi doubted Bharat. Lakshman was convinced that Bharat is culprit. If given a chance, he would have killed him. So the interesting thing is, so many citizens in Ayodhya, they misunderstood Bharat. So why is he called Bharata? Because he had to practice devotional service, carrying this heavy emotional load of being totally misunderstood. To practice devotional service in the climate of misunderstanding is most difficult. The very Sangha, the very association, the very community of Ayodhya in which Bharat had grown and served, they all went against Bharat for something which he had not done at all. He was not party, but he was intimate to Kaikeyi. And because of association of Kaikeyi, there was total misunderstanding about Bharata's intentions. So that is called circumstantial misunderstanding. So Bharat had to go through that misfortune. So when he came back, he is asking Vasishtha, okay, let us go and do the funeral. As they reach near the funeral, Vasishtha turns to Bharat and says, sorry, you cannot perform the funeral. And Bharat says, why? I am the son who is remaining now. Ram has gone to the forest, I will do. So, no. While leaving body, Dasharath Maharaj was very clear. Bharat is a rascal. Bharat is responsible for this entire conspiracy. He is hand in glove with Kaikeyi. He is responsible for this misfortune to Ram. Make sure that his condemned sinful hands don't touch my body. And saying this, Dasharath departed. The person Bharat loved the most left the body, misunderstanding him totally, and there is no opportunity now for Bharat to clarify his situation. And he has to live the rest of the life with that load on his head. That my very father whom I loved, he left the body cursing me. Just imagine a scene where someone whom you love very much, they depart cursing you, not understanding you properly or with some wrong information and understanding, and there is no way you can clarify. The opportunity is gone. But that is the beauty of devotional service. Bhakti is ahetuki apratihata. Ramayana is demonstrating that sometimes you will get the opulence of serving Lord in the climate of appreciation, like Lakshman. And some others will not be so fortunate, but they will have to perform devotional service in the climate of constant misunderstanding and condemnation. But the community of devotees does not guarantee appreciation or condemnation, it guarantees service. So as I say many times, in ISKCON you get two things free, prasad and gali. Both you get free. And third thing is seva. So as long as you are getting seva and you do not mind what different people are saying and you go on with your devotional service, you will be peaceful. The expectation that if I perform devotional service, I should be appreciated and my intention should always be properly represented. There is no guarantee. That is the meaning of Bharata. He is carrying this load on his head. One who is thinking that without Ram's service, this entire kingdom is like a heavy load. So just imagine what a powerful personality Bharat is. And therefore, in the Bhagavatam it is described, two types of people in this world are happy. Yascha mudhatamo loke, yascha buddhe param gata, tau ubhau sukham edhete, klishyanti antarito jana. Example is given, like for example, in a college, in a typical college environment. Tomorrow exam is there. Two types of people are blissful. One who is a topper, who has revised 10 times, and one day before exam he keeps going to people's rooms and give them more anxiety. And says, "Arey, you have just started." "Oh, I finished this 7 months back." And he goes around, giving his blessings to everyone. So he is blissful. He is looking forward to the exam because already, he has gone through it many times. So he has no anxiety. Second fellow who has no anxiety, who has never attended the class, who has full faith, even Lord can't pass me. He has also no anxiety. Karmanyavadhikaraste ma phaleshu. That no phal is going to come. His philosophy is simple: entering college is my duty, taking me out of college is college duty. So he is also blissful. Right? In fact, he goes around, telling others who are studying, "Arey, kya fayda? Where are you going?" "I am going to see movie." "Anyway, I have not done anything. I have not even seen Prof's face. So what will I write?" But who is in anxiety? The middle fellows, who have attended few lectures, who have taken few notes, who have desire to pass but not studied very well. They are struggling, comparing notes, xeroxing notes, discussing so many things, fighting all night. They are the ones. In this world, like that, Bhagavatam says, "Yascha mudhatamo loke, yascha buddhe param gata." Buddhe param, paramhamsas, who are beyond sense gratification, they are blissful. Number two, one who is engrossed in sense gratification, has no knowledge, is also blissful. They are moving around peacefully. Goal of life is sense gratification. Who is miserable? Here, sitting. Klishyanti antarito, who have heard material world is place of misery, there is a Goloka, there is a Vaikuntha, we have to chant Hare Krishna, we should not drink coffee, tea, liquor, this, that, we have to go there. So we are wondering, "Arey, kya karega yaar?" Information is also given. Experience is not coming, what do I do? Is it really there? Right? So we have to go through. And many people think that I don't remember any classes. I don't remember all these descriptions. I can go and enjoy senses. But you try. When you try to enjoy senses, all the classes will come back. At that very moment. You think you don't remember. One devotee from Chowpatty, he went to, one temple in Switzerland. It was Nityanand Trayodashi, so he thought, let me go to the temple. So he went to the temple and they said, "Okay, where are you from?" "Oh, you are from Chowpatty." "Oh, you have attended many yatras. So you must have heard many lectures on Lord Nityanand. You speak something." Because our main lecture is evening, morning not many people are there, nobody is there to speak, you speak. He said, I don't remember anything. I said, whatever you remember, just speak. Anyway, there is nobody. So he sat. He started class at 8:30. He went on till 12:30. He remembered every pastime, one after another, one after another. One more pastime and one more pastime. Then finally president would tell him, okay, now enough. We have to break the fast. So you may think, I don't remember, but once you begin, you will realize how much you know. So therefore it is, Shruti Dharma Prabhu would say that coming into the association of devotees is like joining mafia. You can join, but you cannot leave. Why? Because you know too much. You know too much. So here, Bharata, he goes to Lord Ram, falls at his feet, and now when Bharata says, I don't want the kingdom, I only want service, many Ayodhya-vasis turn around to Bharat's favor, and they say, oh, he is genuine. It was wrong. What we thought about him was wrong. He is not after kingdom, because if he was after kingdom, why will he go to get Ram back? So we are with Bharat. But others said, Arey, all drama. This is all drama going on. He is not some ordinary fellow. He is like deep. His drama is really deep. So Bharat could never convince ever after that whole Ayodhya what his actual character is. But he went to the forest carrying both parties of devotees. So Bharat did not go to Ram only with his supporters. All Ayodhya-vasis went. So for our Krishna consciousness, we require the blessings of devotees who like us and devotees who don't like us. So both kinds of devotees' blessings are required. So then he went to the forest, met Lord Ram, brought his paduka, thus demonstrating that I am only interested in the service. And he was given a responsibility of administering a kingdom which was divided over their opinion of Bharat. He was administering and managing a group of people, some of whom liked him, but majority of whom condemned him. So there is no remuneration. There is no joy, there is no bliss of appreciation. So he had to stay outside Ayodhya in Nandigram without facility, without opulences, without proper clothes. And he would get up at 1:30 in the morning and go to Sarayu to take bath. Why? Because when the group of Ayodhya-vasis who did not like him, they would see him near Sarayu, they would pick up stones and hit him on the head. That is Bharata, performing devotional service in this climate of total misunderstanding and condemnation. But that is Ayodhya Sanskriti. Sanskriti means even though Bharat knows that there are so many people who misunderstand me and are condemning me, he didn't take a sword and go to house asking, hey, who is that fellow here who's speaking about me? Nonsense, come out. I will show him. No. He just tolerated and went on with his responsibilities. So as I discussed before, we are discussing the three cultures today. The culture of Ayodhya, culture of Kishkinda and culture of Lanka. So culture of Ayodhya is Sanskriti. Sanskriti means sacrifice, restraint and life of vows. So Bharat had to demonstrate a lot of restraint and not get provoked by agitation. Okay. So another thing I forgot about Prabhupada was the fifth thing he gave, apart from appreciation and recognition, is he gave devotees creative freedom. So enthusiasm, humility, appreciation, recognition, and creative freedom. These 5 things you have to give to people who come in touch with you. Then only you can inspire them to practice and spread Krishna consciousness in the long run. So then after this, the 4th personality in Ayodhya is Shatrughna. Ram, Bharat, Lakshman and Shatrughna. So what is the speciality of Shatrughna? Shatrughna Nitya Shatrughna Nitah Priti Puraskritah. Shatrughna basically means one who has conquered over his Shatru. What is a Shatru? False ego. Shatrughna's beauty was, he was a complete surrendered servant of Bharata. So in Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya, they compare Lakshman and Shatrughna, and many of the acharyas rate Shatrughna as higher than even Lakshman. Why? Because Lakshman was serving Bhagavan, whereas Shatrughna was serving Bhakta. The whole of Ayodhya was saying Jai Sri Ram, Jai Sri Ram, Jai Sri Ram. It is very difficult to go against popular opinion. When majority of people are glorifying only Ram, but Shatrughna was fixed. My Swami is Bharat. So he had no false ego. He would just submit whatever he would say. So therefore that is described here, that the very important quality required for a servant in the practice of Krishna consciousness is freedom from false ego and humility. And that is the meaning of Shatrughna. So therefore many times we find people say that I like serving deities more than serving devotees. Why? Because deities never give feedback. It is easier to serve deities than serving devotees, because deities never give feedback. Whatever you do, they are smiling. And devotees, you try your best, and still you don't get good feedback many times. So you may think, what is the point? One lady was cooking some samosas for Srila Prabhupada. He was going on a flight. So Prabhupada went to the kitchen, and as she was taking out one samosa, she was putting in the pack for packing for the journey. As soon as that samosa fell into that, box, Prabhupada picked it up and ate. So she took out one more, Prabhupada ate. She took out one more, Prabhupada ate. So as many she was taking out, Prabhupada was eating, and she got bewildered and said, Prabhupada, how many samosas will you eat? Prabhupada said, more than you can make. So she thought suddenly that my cooking is so special that Prabhupada is not able to resist. So she said, Prabhupada, who is your favorite cook? Prabhupada said, me. So what is distinction? All of us feel that we are convinced that my appearance in this world is a gift to mankind. That because I have appeared, the world has some hope. And we wonder, how come the others are not able to recognize it? What's going on? Someone should give them proper knowledge, proper vision. So the false ego is very deadly. So therefore, this principle of Shatrughna is very important. Gaur Govind Maharaj, he was translating Prabhupada's Bhagavatam into Oriya. And Prabhupada said, why it is going so slow? And he said, Prabhupada, I have to do management also, I have to do this also, collection also. Prabhupada said, you should be relieved of all management, just to translate. He said, how will I do it? Nobody is there. Prabhupada turned, there was one Western devotee. Prabhupada said, he will do management. But he is going to New York tomorrow. Prabhupada said, we will change his plan. Call him. So this devotee was called. Prabhupada is calling you. As soon as he heard that, he understood something is wrong. So he came and offered obeisances to Prabhupada. And Prabhupada said, how are you doing? He said, yes, Srila Prabhupada, how can I serve you? Prabhupada said, don't go to New York. sit here in Bhubaneswar and manage. Said, Srila Prabhupada, already my tickets are booked. Prabhupada said, we can change it. Said, but Prabhupada, in New York, they have created a special department for me. Prabhupada said, I'll tell someone else to take over. Said, Prabhupada, India climate doesn't suit me. Prabhupada said, only if you stay long time it will suit you. Said, Prabhupada, there are so many issues I have adjusting with the food and the water and everything. Prabhupada said, I will tell you all the tips. What foods to eat, what to avoid, how you can remain healthy. Prabhupada, I can't deal with the local GBC. Prabhupada said, today only I will change him. So he realized that this is serious. So he said, Prabhupada, you know what? Morning till night there are so many services here. I am not able to chant my 16 rounds. If I go to New York, at least I will chant 16 rounds. Prabhupada said, if you are busy morning till night, there is no need to chant 16 rounds. It's okay. Now you don't take that quote and say that, wow, that is the quote of the day. I should have heard it a few years ago. But then finally he surrendered. How can I serve you then? Prabhupada said, I already told you, stay here. So therefore, real renunciation means renouncing our desires moment to moment. That is the meaning of renunciation. And we will discuss more on Monday evening. We will discuss on the topic of the secret of happiness. And we will discuss Mahaprabhu's pastimes. What is the real import of renunciation? Renunciation is not renunciation of clothes, renunciation of hair, renunciation of this, that. It is renunciation of the only possession we have. And the only possession we have is desire. So therefore Shatrughna surrendered and submitted his entire desire, and no false ego he had. Therefore he is called Shatrughna. So, if we see in then further some pastimes in Ramayana in Ayodhya to understand the mode of Sanskriti. So we can see that how the Sanskriti is shown, sacrifice is shown. Bharat is offered kingdom, he is offering it back to Ram. He is offering back to Ram, Ram is offering it back. So that is the culture. Right? This is called Sanskriti or the culture. That means one is concerned with sacrificing and selfless service more than personal enjoyment. So now Vishwamitra Muni comes, and as Vishwamitra Muni comes, he is approaching the palace of Dasharath Maharaj. So Dasharath Maharaj sees him, becomes ecstatic. And what Dasharath Maharaj says is, immediately he gets up from his seat, offers Vishwamitra Muni his seat. And the first thing he was saying is, I am offering you this entire kingdom. So in Vedic times, when Rishi Munis would come to king's palace, the kings would get up, and the first thing they would do is offer their entire kingdom to that Rishi. No one will dare in Kali Yuga. Because even the Rishis were so self-satisfied that they would return it back to the king as Mahaprasad. They won't give receipt. So Vishwamitra Muni gave it back. So now Dasharath Maharaj is saying, please tell me, I can fulfill all your desires. So Dasharath Maharaj, when he says this, Vishwamitra Muni says, I have only one desire, I want your son, Ram. So Dasharath is saying, Ramo Rajiva Lochana. Ram is lotus-eyed. That means when it is sunset, he goes to sleep. I have fought for 60,000 years against Rakshasas. What is the point of taking my son, who is not even trained? I think you should recruit me for killing the demons, not Ram. When Vishwamitra Muni hears this, he becomes angry. He says, you have promised me, Dasharath. If you don't fulfill your promise, I will burn you off, burn the kingdom off, and burn off your entire dynasty. At this point, Vasishtha Rishi, who is sitting there, he has direct experience of Vishwamitra Muni's power. Because they have had issues in the past, many times. So he knows what all Leelas Vishwamitra can do. So he urges and begs Dasharath Maharaj, just follow whatever he is saying, Baba. He is asking Ram, give. Otherwise you will regret. So both Vishwamitra Muni and Vasishtha, they have serious differences of opinion. But when it comes to service to Lord Ram, Vasishtha also understands that it is now time for Ram to be in contact with Lakshmi, with Sita. Very soon Swayamvar is going to happen. So he is on the same page as Vishwamitra. So therefore differences of opinion we may have, but the overriding factor should be how can the mission be served in the best possible way. So Ram goes along with them and they reach Mithila. And when they reach Mithila, Dasharath is telling, our Vishwamitra Muni is telling Ram, Vatsa Rama Dhanurpashya. My dear Ram, go and see that big bow. Which is the bow? Shiva Dhanush. As you know, that Shiva Dhanush was so huge that 8,000 Kshatriyas simultaneously was required to lift it up. And they would walk with that bow one step. And they would feel so tired, they would keep it down and rest for half an hour. Then they would pick it up again. That is how that bow was handled. But Sita, when she was 5 years old, her friend said, we have to pluck flowers. So Sita went inside. With her left hand, she picked up that bow alone and went and plucked flowers and kept it back. The ministers were seeing this, they got heart attack. They went and told Dasharath that this is what we saw, that Sita picked up that bow on her own. Janak Maharaj said, there is something wrong. You are not in the right state of consciousness. How is it possible? So the Janak Maharaj came and questioned Sita, and Sita said, I took the bow but I kept it back. So Janak Maharaj, when he heard this, he was so fearful that who will marry her now? If her hands are so powerful, any husband she marries, if she embraces, he will become chutney. How will anyone come, who can marry such a powerful lady? So he thought at least they should be able to lift this bow. Then there is some equality in the relationship. So Ram came and he went, and all the Mithila Vasis, they were holding their eyelids because they wanted to make sure they don't miss that moment when Ram is stringing that bow. So they didn't want to miss it, so they were even holding their eyelids. So Vatsa Rama Dhanurpashya. So what Vishwamitra Muni told Ram is, go and see the bow. So this is where three types of disciples come. First type of disciple understands the inside import of the instruction. So Ram understood, being first class disciple, that Vishwamitra Muni is saying, go and see. But see means pick it up, evaluate strength, weakness, and try to string it. He understood the inside meaning. First class disciple. Second class disciple will do as much as told. Dhanurpashya. Okay, see, I have seen. You told me to see, I have seen. Anything else? No, okay, I am going. Third class disciple, he will ask, why I should see? You see. You should see. Why you are telling me to see? I am the only one available to see or what? So he'll get on your case. So third class. So Ram being first class, he went, picked it up, and in one movement strung it, and the bow broke into pieces. And the tumultuous sound made all the members standing there fall on the ground, unconscious. When they woke up, they saw that Ramchandra ji is standing there with the bow broken into two pieces in both his hands. So suddenly Sita came forward with a garland in hand. So Ram says, stop. Ram tells Sita, stop. My Guru Vishwamitra Muni told only about seeing the bow. There is no discussion of marriage. So what is this garland? If there is something of marriage, then it has to be discussed again with Vishwamitra and my parents, and only with their blessings we can move ahead. Again, Sanskriti, restraint. Not that opportunity is there, okay. अरे वाह, मुझे तो पता ही नहीं था, चलो हो जाए. Restraint. That is the culture of Ayodhya. Unless my parents tell me, unless Vishwamitra tells me, how can I do it? It's a very nice thing to get married to you, but I have not been instructed. So then finally all the parties come and both stand in front of each other. And you know what was Sita Devi's age? Ramchandra's age at time of marriage? Ramchandra Bhagwan's age was 12 years. And Sita Devi's age was 6 years. Now don't ask why. Children are saying, what? So Sita Devi took garland in hand, but she couldn't reach Ram because Ram was tall. And Ram being Kshatriya, he didn't bend down. No, I'm a Kshatriya. So he was not willing to bend down. So Sita is standing, Ram is standing. Janak is in anxiety, Are Baba, will the marriage happen? So many difficulties even now. Lakshman understood. Immediately he fell down at Ram's feet, offered obeisances. So Ram reciprocated by bending down. When he bent down, Sita put the garland. So Janak Maharaj is telling, I am Sita, Mama Suta. This is my Sita, my daughter. So why is saying? Because Ram may think I am so beautiful, but the Janak is saying Sita is also equally beautiful. Another reason is Ram was so intoxicated by the beauty of Sita that he was seeing Sita everywhere. So Janak Maharaj was fearful that this guy holding garland, he should not put garland on someone else, thinking that is Sita. So Janak Maharaj holds Sita and tells Ram, Are Baba, here is the girl, okay? With great difficulty we have come till here. Make sure this last step happens properly. So this is the culture of Ayodhya. So far so good. But then as you know, that the demigods, when Lakshmi Devi is in the spiritual world, she is telling Narayana that all my desires are fulfilled. I am happy serving you, but still I have some desire. So Lord Vishnu is telling, what is your desire? You are constantly serving my lotus feet, what else you need? She said, I am serving your lotus feet, but I am not getting chance to serve your lotus feet in privacy. So Vishnu is saying, who is there around? So Lakshmi points out above, Ananta Shesh with so many eyes is constantly watching. Service is there, but privacy will be more flavor. So Lord said, okay, we will see in future. When we come down in human society, it is possible. So therefore Lord appeared as Ram and Sita. But after marriage, they were so busy. They did not have any privacy, and Sita is thinking, Arey, we came all the way to material world. Still that is not happening. What is going on? So Lord understood that, okay, marriage was there, but honeymoon was not there. So I was so much engrossed in management and everything. So Lord arranges through Manthara and Kaikeyi, so that for 14 years he can travel to all the resorts of India. In all the nice, forests. And be in solitude with Sita. So therefore when Kaikeyi curses Ram, he immediately agrees. That is the culture, Sanskriti. Kaikeyi says, your father wants you to go. Ram said, why you are calling my father's name? If you tell me that I want you to go, I will follow. Just tell me that you want me to go, I will go. And Kaushalya, she wants to go. Sita Devi, she wants to go. Lakshman, he wants to go. Diptim agnim aranyam va yadi ramam pravekshasi. Lakshman is telling, my dear Lord, even if there is a burning forest, I will enter into that forest first. Deeptam agnim aranyam va yadi ramam pravekshati. Therefore, my association with you is such that whether in opulence of Ayodhya, prosperity of Ayodhya, or adversity of the forest, I will not give up your service. That is Sanskriti. Sanskriti is based on values and principles, not based on convenience and inconvenience. Serving Ram in the forest was highly inconvenient. But a devotee is not concerned with physical and emotional convenience. He is more concerned with the pleasure of the Lord and the great privilege of serving the Lord in all circumstances. Therefore, Lakshman forces himself to go with Ram. And Sita, she is saying, Yas tvaya sahasa swargo nirayas tvaya vina iti janan param pritim gaccha rama yatha sukham. Sita says, even if you go to, if wherever you are, my dear Lord, that is heaven. If you are not in Ayodhya, that is hell. And she says, Yati tvam prasthitam durgam vanam adyaiva raghava agrataste gamishyanti mridam kantaka kanchaka. She says, I will go in front of you and crush all the thorns which come in the way. Agrataste gamishyanti mridanti kushakantakan, and all the different thorns which come in the way, I will destroy them. And that thorn is Ravana. So Sita wants to act as an instrument in destruction of Ravana. So this basically is the culture of Ayodhya, Sanskriti. Now we come to the culture of Kishkinda. What is the culture of Kishkinda? Kishkinda is the place where Sugriva stays with his monkey soldiers. So Sugriva, he approaches Lord Ram in the forest when Ram is bereft of Mother Sita. And Sugriva offers a pact with Lord. So the beauty of Sugriva's connection with Ram is to be understood. Lokanatha pura bhutva Sugrivam natham ichhati pita yasya purahyasya sharanyo dharma vatsala. Lakshman is telling, Ram is standing right next to Lakshman, and Lakshman is telling Hanumanji, who has come on behalf of Sugriva to see who are these two personalities. So this is a dialogue going on between Lakshman and Hanumanji. Ram is standing on the side. And what does Lakshman say? Lokanatha pura bhutva, that Ram, who was the supreme lord of all the entire worlds, Sugrivam natham ichhati, he desires Sugriva as his lord. Pita yasya purahyasya sharanyo dharma vatsalaha. And in fact, that Ram's father Dasharath had given shelter to Dharma personified. Here is Dasharath Nandan. Dasharath has the capacity to give shelter to Dharma. And the son of Dasharath is wanting shelter of Sugriva. Tasya putra sharanyascha Sugrivam sharanam gata. And Dasharath's son wants shelter of Sugriva. Sarva lokasya dharmatma sharanya sharanam pura Gurorme Raghavo Soyam Sugrivam Sharanam Gatah. So he says that Sarva Lokasya Dharmatma, that Supreme Lord, who is the Supreme Lord of the all worlds, Sarva Lokasya Dharmatma, Sharanya Sharanam Pura, and who has the capacity to give shelter to the entire world. Lord Ram's lotus feet can give shelter to the entire world. Sharanyam Sharanam Pura, Guror me Raghavo Soyam, and my Guru, Raghav, Lord Ram, Sugrivam Sharanam Gatah, he desires to take shelter of Sugriva. Sarvalokasya Dharmatma, Sharanya, why should Lord, who is the supreme shelter giver of the entire creation, take shelter of Sugriva? What is the significance of Ram coming and taking shelter of Sugriva? He is the supreme personality of Godhead. All the worlds and all the demigods are under his control. Why does he take shelter of a monkey? Why the Supreme Lord is taking shelter of monkey? Because the Lord wants to demonstrate. Once the soul leaves my association and goes to the material world and is caught in the samsara of Lanka, of the body, and trapped by the 5 karmendriyas, 5 gyanendriyas, the 10 heads of Ravana, and Ravana represents the conditioned mind. So Sita, like the soul, is trapped in the body of Lanka and under the influence of the mind like Ravana, and surrounded by the ocean of samsara. The Lord says, I may be the Supreme Lord, but I am helpless in rescuing the soul who has gone to the material world. I am all powerful, but I am powerless in reclaiming the souls. To reclaim the souls, I need help. And whose help I need? I need the help of Sugriva. Griva means throat. Sugriva means one who is having beautiful throat. Throat is the place from where sound is emanating. Sound has 4 qualities: Para, Pashyanti, Vaikhari, Madhyama. So Vaikhari is the one which is external, manifest. Sound is first formed in the form of a conception in our Nabhisthal. Then it moves to the Hridayasthan. Then we get the idea comes. Then it comes to the throat. And then finally it comes out. So out of the 4 aspects of sound, we only hear one. The one which is spoken. That is called Vaikhari. So Sugriva has 4 primary ministers. And these 4 ministers represent the 4 aspects of sound. And the most important minister of Sugriva is Hanuman, who is Vayuputra, because air is the medium for sound to transmit. So the combination of Sugriva and Hanuman, the sound vibration and carrier of sound vibration, that is a factor which the Lord is totally dependent on in the material world. That I may be all powerful, but I need help of those who are carriers of sound to go and reclaim souls who are trapped in the mind and senses. Sarvalokasya dharmatma sharanyam sharanam pura gurorme raghavo soyam sugrivam sharanam gata. So therefore, this must be understood, that Lord is dependent. Although independent, He is dependent on those who distribute His message. And what is the quality of people who give His message? Like Sugriva. Sugriva was not perfect. Sugriva, as soon as Ram came, he offered a seat to Ram. But he did not offer seat to Lakshmana. Then both of them decided Ram said, I will protect you against Vali. So Sugriva went and challenged Vali. Vali came out. And when Vali attacked Sugriva, Ram did not intervene. Sugriva is getting beaten up and beaten up and beaten up, and he is wondering, where did he go? We just made such a good pact. Where is Ram? And Vali was about to beat him to pulp when Sugriva decided to run away. He came to Ram and was shocked, and he said, what kind of a friend are you? Ram said, you both look so same. I could not distinguish who is who. And what is the significance? Ram wanted to demonstrate that Sugriva has honored me by giving me the seat, but he has not yet honored Lakshman. You cannot get Krishna's, Ram's grace till you get Guru's grace. So immediately Ram tells Lakshman, Gajapushpim imam phullam utpatya shubhalakshanam Kuru Lakshmana kanthasya Sugrivasya mahatmanah. So he says, please go and take this Gajapushpim imam phullam utpatya Kuru Lakshanam. There is a creeper of flowers. Take this creeper of flowers, O Lakshman, place it around the neck of Sugriva. When Lakshman does that, Sugriva gets properly blessed by Lakshman. So therefore, Lord wants to demonstrate that one soul and another soul look same. There is no need for Lord to intervene in the lives of so many souls, because karma is anyway happening. What is karma? Karma is Lord's corporate policy. It is going on. But if you want kshama to manifest, forgiveness to manifest, that is Lord's family policy. Family affairs. And that Lord will only accept when He accepts someone as part of the family. So therefore, one soul, another soul look same. What makes Lord take notice? When there is a reciprocation from Vaishnav, and the Vaishnav blesses a soul, then the Lord takes notice that, okay, I will protect him, because Vaishnav's grace has come, Guru's grace has come. So therefore, then when Sugriva went, there was a fight, and ultimately Lord Ram killed Vali. So far so good. Now Sugriva, he goes along with Ruma and Tara, who are his wife and Vali's wife, and starts enjoying in the 4 months of rainy season. Now he has promised Lord Ram that I will support in your campaign, but he becomes so engrossed in enjoyment he forgets. This is the culture of Kishkinda. What is it? Prakriti. What is the culture of Ayodhya? Sanskriti. What is the culture of Kishkinda? Prakriti. Prakriti means nature, swabhava, tendency to forget, forgetfulness of gratitude, forgetfulness of one's duty, to be overwhelmed by one's nature, to succumb to temptation. This is the culture of Kishkinda. But what is the beauty? Ram had beautiful relationships with people from Ayodhya who were perfect in Sanskriti, like Lakshman, who never forgot even for one moment. But Lord also needs association and help of people like Sugriva, and He engages them also in His mission. So there is place for those who are perfect, and there is place for those who are imperfect but having good intentions. So what distinguishes Ayodhya from Kishkinda is the intentions in both places are same. But Kishkinda is characterized by weakness of heart. One does not have the ability to actually follow with determination. So therefore, 4 months of the rainy season, Ram is wondering what's going on. And he's telling Lakshman, 4 months have passed. We are sitting here in Malyavant Parvat. Sugriva has forgotten his promise. So usually amongst Lakshman and Ram is the mellow person and Lakshman is the angry man. This time, for the first time, Ram becomes the angry man. And he says, Nacha sankuchita pantha yena vali hato gata samaye tishta sugriva ma vali pathamanvaga. He tells Lakshman, what does this Sugriva think of himself? He thinks I am dependent on him. He has forgotten the promise he has made. I think you should go and tell him, Nacha sankuchita pantha yena vali hatogata. That door through which Vali went, I have kept it still open. I can send others also, including you. Samayatishta Sugriva ma Vali pathamanvaga. If you want to follow in footsteps of Vali, I can help you. Go and tell him. And Lakshman becomes very ecstatic, because this is the bhav he wanted Ram to display. So Lakshman says, my dear Lord, I will not only give him this message, I will take the sword and chop off his head. I will kill him. And then we will appoint Angada, and using Angada we will have the campaign, let me kill him. So Ram becomes very fearful. Hey, cool down Baba, cool down. You go and give message, but don't kill. So Lakshman tries to restrain himself, but as he is walking, he is breaking down trees and breaking down rocks. The monkeys see that, they go and tell Sugriva that Lakshman has come. Sugriva doesn't believe. Sugriva looks at the messengers and says, what wrong have I done? This is another characteristic of Kishkinda. One forgets, one deviates, and still is not convinced where I have gone wrong. So then, Hanumanji says that there is actually only one way I can see, Sugriva. When Lakshman comes, don't negotiate. Just fall at his feet, accept that you have made a mistake, surrender, and perform the service which you had promised. So Sugriva is so afraid, he sends his wife. So Tara goes in front. And she is the one. She comes in front of Lakshman, and when Lakshman in full anger comes and sees Tara, he becomes very bewildered because he was not expecting this. So then she starts giving this series of shlokas where she says, Lakshman, Are great sages like Vishwamitra Muni and so many other rishis have fallen down, Baba. My husband is monkey only. What is the big deal? If rishis can fall down, what is the problem with monkey? Is there any big deal? Don't make such a big deal out of it. So Lakshman also gets bewildered. He doesn't know what to do. Then Sugriva comes and offers obeisances, surrenders. And then Lord Ram says, okay, now that you have surrendered, I forgive and forget. Forgive and forget and move on. So that is Kishkinda. The servant may have good intentions, but is prone to making mistakes. But when the servant makes mistakes, he must admit the mistake and rectify the mistake and continue on. After these 4 months of sense gratification of Sugriva, Ram appointed him as the leader of the campaign against Ravana and others. So Ram gave him feedback, but he did not take away his service. So in the culture of Kishkinda, When a servant makes mistakes, one should try to rectify that mistake. The mistake can be rectified, but not at the cost of taking away service itself. So Sugriva then immediately he gives order. All the bears, all the monkeys, all the different animals under my care, millions and millions of them should all come within 1 week and assemble here, otherwise I'll kill them. Now after 4 months of lethargy, still he has the enthusiasm to give a order like this. So then millions of monkeys come, and then Sugriva starts saying to one group, you go in northern direction, there you will find a mountain, there you will find an ocean, there you will find this, there you will find that, turn right, you will find this planet, then turn left, you will find this forest. And so for every group in Ramayana there is several pages of description of the whole universe, which Sugriva is giving each party. He is giving a map, your Google map, for the whole universe. Sugriva is telling with his mouth. So Ram is hearing, and Ram looks at Sugriva and says, looks like you know the entire universe by heart. How you have such detailed general knowledge? Sugriva said, when Vali was chasing me all over the universe, I was in great fear, seeing all these places and recorded it. At that time I did not know that I will use this information. So whatever experience we go through in life, it may come to us some use in future in Krishna consciousness also. So never regret any situation which you may go through. So then Sugriva sends Hanumanji and others towards south. So this is the culture of Kishkindha. It is called Prakriti. So the culture of Ayodhya is called Sanskriti. The culture of Kishkinda is called Prakriti. The culture of Lanka is called Vikriti. Vikriti means what? Vikriti means if Ayodhya is culture, Lanka is vulture. Just enjoy at the expense of others. My pleasure overrides anything else. Ravana literally means one who gives pain to others, who makes others cry. That is Ravana. Vikriti means a culture where there is no gratitude. There is absorption in selfishness. The culture of selfish pleasure at the cost of others' pain. Giving pain to others for one's own pleasure. That is Vikriti. And modern day society, where people are dumping so many things in the environment, giving pain to nature, giving pain to society for one's own pleasure, that is Vikriti, that is Lanka society. So all this ecological degradation is all part of that psychology, Vikriti, where everyone is simply concerned with one thing: how can I be happy? I am not concerned with what others are going through. And this was Ravana's mentality. Another beautiful point: Ravana had no desire for Sita. He was happy in Lanka, in his own world. When Surpanaka was attacked, Surpanaka came running to Lanka. And Surpanaka was the one who started speaking glories of Sita in front of Ravana. So when Surpanaka said, there is this beautiful woman, Sita, she is the embodiment of all beauty, she has been enjoyed by Ram, by human being, you Ravana, you deserve. You need to have, you need to possess. It was Surpanaka's propaganda which created desire within Ravana. So what was Surpanaka? Surpanaka was internet, media, advertisement. When propaganda is made, a person who is quite satisfied with what he is doing suddenly develops a desire, and that desire becomes the cause of his anxiety. Till then, Ravana was in his own world, but Surpanaka came and fed him all this. So the more you go into the internet and the more you go into the media, the more you see propaganda, you think, I have not had enough. I need this also, I need this also, I need this also. So a whole culture of dissatisfaction is promoted. Okay, so another beautiful thing about Ravana is that Ravana, he made many people cry, including many rishis. Of course, we won't have time to discuss, but there is a whole list of 18 curses which Ravana got from different people. That is there. Nalakuver, Vedavati, Vedic Brahmanas, Nandi, Musishta, Ashtavakra. Ravana saw Ashtavakra bent in 8 places. And Ravana said, by giving him a kick, "Oh handsome fellow, with my kick I will cure your 8 hunches." When Ashtavakra Muni said this, heard this, he said, "Because you have kicked me with your feet, I curse you that in future, monkey will come and kick you from head to toe." And because of that curse, Angada, when Angada went to Ravana, he jumped on top of Ravana, kicked him from top to bottom, and Angada also passed urine on Ravana's head. And he came and reported to Lord Ram what I did. And Ram was very much shocked. He said, "Arey, what is this? How could you do this? You passed urine on Ravana's head. Why? How could you do this?" Angada said, "I am monkey, I can do anything." So he actually got cursed by so many people. And because of this curse, ultimately, he could not do anything much. So if we accumulate curses in life, the tears which we cause to others who are weaker than us, if a powerful man makes others who are dependent and subordinate to him and weaker to him cry, the tears of that person will drown the powerful person. The tears create an ocean which will drown the powerful man, however powerful that person may be. So that is the culture of Vikriti. Vikriti means we are only concerned with selfish interests, not with anything else. So at this point, Ravana, when he is inviting Sita, Sita stands in front of Ravana, and Sita puts a straw between herself and Ravana. Ravana comes to capture Sita. Sita immediately puts a straw. So when Ravana sees that straw, the Acharya has explained why Sita put straw between them. Trinam antarata kritva pratyuvacha shuchismita nivartaya manomatta swajane kriyatam manah. Swajane kriyatam manah. Trinam antarata kritva. Why she put that straw? So different reasons are given. Number 1, to create etiquette. Second, to create formality. Thirdly, Sita was giving a statement to Ravana, to hell with your wealth. I consider your wealth to be insignificant like straw. Then fourth, she was saying, you, Ravana, are insignificant like straw. Then fifth, she was saying, Jnanena hina pashubhi samana. You have no knowledge. Anyone not having knowledge is as good as an animal. Because you are an animal, come on, eat this straw. She was throwing that straw in front of Ravana. Then another reason, she was saying that, my dear Ravana, very soon Ram will come burn Lanka. When Ram comes and burns Lanka, all of your palaces will be burnt. You will need a house to stay. Use this straw to make a hut for yourself. And then lastly, she wanted to say that Lord can appear even from pillar as Narsingadev, Like that, if Lord wants, He can manifest from this straw and destroy you. So Ravana was very obsessed. So he went to the house of Vibhishana. So in Vibhishan's house, Ravana saw that all across in Vibhishan's walls, the name of Ram was written. Rama, 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 Rama. So Ravana became very angry. He said, Vibhishan, rascal, how have you covered the entire wall with my enemy's name? You don't know the consequence? Vibhishana said, oh Ravana, why you are feeling so fearful, so angry? This Rama doesn't refer to that Rama. This Rama, Rama, Rama I have written on the walls mean Ra stands for Ravana. Ma stands for Mandodari. So Rama means Ravana Mandodari, Ravana Mandodari, Ravana Mandodari. Ravana said, oh, I now declare that every house in Lanka should have Ram Nam all across. That is how expert devotees are in engaging demons also in the preaching mission. So Vibhishan, he gave up association of Ravana and went along with 4 ministers to surrender to Lord Ram. The 4 ministers represent the 4 elements of Sharanagati, surrender. Surrender has 4 elements. First is called Akinchanatvam. Akinchanatvam means I don't have anything. Second is Ananyagatitvam. That means I don't have anywhere else to go. I don't have anything. So someone may say, okay, if you don't have anything, okay, go somewhere else. Because here everything comes at a price. Your pocket is empty and you say that you want to still buy product here, get lost. Says, no, I don't have any other place to go. I have nothing, pocket is empty, but I will not go anywhere else. I will stay here only and receive whatever you give. Ananya Gatitvam. Third is Saralta. Vibhishan is the brother of Ravana. If any of us know that someone who is close to our enemy is wanting a relationship, we will not accept relationship so easily. Any job you go, they do a full background check on you. Who this person is, what he did. Recently the president came for inauguration of Pune temple. So the team which was doing cooking, they were grilled for 12 hours by the, CBI. Each CBI is the secret agency. Each one's whole kundali was brought out of last 20-25 years. What they did, where they were. And they were all made to sign an agreement. If anything goes wrong to the president, all of you go to jail. Then only they were allowed to cook for the president. I was very impressed with the guy who signed also. So can you imagine, for a president, these are the injunctions. And for Lord, we are saying, Arey, today I don't have time, you cook. So actually speaking, such background check is done on any relationship. Anyone wanting to come close. But the Lord is Saral. Saral means whatever someone speaks, he accepts on face value. Vibhishana saying, my dear Lord, I want shelter. Ram says, okay. Sugriva is telling, Arey, he is Ravan's brother. Okay, no problem. Arey, but he is from Lanka. Okay, no problem. So none of arguments of Sugriva are being taken by Ram. So that is the hope-giving thing in surrender. Lord is Saral, simple. If you simply come and tell him, I have messed up for last 20 years, but from today, I want to take your shelter. Even when we engage someone, we don't have faith. So we'll see after 6 months. Let us see trial. Lord doesn't believe in any trial period. Okay, immediately accept. So immediately he accepts the thing. Pishachan danavan yakshan prithivyan chaiva rakshasan angulya natan sarvan icchan hariganeshwara. He says, my dear Lord, Lord Ram is telling, Sugriva, don't worry, simply with the edge of my finger I can crush anyone. So don't worry about Sugriva, he can't do anything. About Vibhishana, he can't do anything. So the fourth aspect of surrender is Shakti. Lord is powerful enough to accept anyone. He has no fear, no one can harm him. He doesn't need a background check on anyone. And therefore the Lord says, Sakrudeva prapannoyas tava asmi iti yache abhayam sarvada tasmai dadamye tadvratam mama. If someone comes in front of me and says, even once, my dear Lord, I am yours, I will accept him for the rest of eternity. Abhayam sarvada tasmai, such a person need to be fearless for the rest of eternity. Dadami etad vratam mama, that is my vow. That is my ardent vow. Lord is saying this. And in this way, Lord gives shelter to Vibhishana. That means Lord is giving us hope. Even if we have been born and brought up and associated in a culture of Vikriti, we should not feel morose or disappointed or hopeless. If we have the right intention, we may not come in a culture of Sanskriti or even Prakriti. We may have spent lifetimes connected to Vikriti. But the moment we come and declare, please accept me, Lord will pull the person and take him under his shelter. So therefore, Ram and Bharat, Vali and Sugriva, and Ravana and Vibhishan. So Bharat's relation is ideal. Vali's relation with Sugriva is wanted to conquer over, but Lord helps anyone who takes shelter. And Ravana and Vibhishana, Vibhishana takes the initiative and takes shelter of Lord. Lord gives shelter. So whether one is in the context of Sanskriti, Prakriti or Vikriti, if we simply take shelter of Lord, all of our spiritual desires can get fulfilled. And these are the beautiful lessons of Ramayana which we have shared this evening. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Gaurang Prabhu. Thank you for coming to Seattle and speaking on this topic of lessons from Ramayana. And tomorrow morning, there will be Bhagavatam class given by Gaurang Prabhu in the morning, 9 a.m. in the temple. So again tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. And then tomorrow evening will be the Sunday feast at 6 p.m. He'll be speaking on, tomorrow morning is Bhagavatam. Then tomorrow evening, again from Bhagavatam, especially Narsingadev's pastimes, especially he'll be giving explanation on the Narsingarati we sing every day. He'll be talking about that.